Hey guys, how you doing? Today we're going to be reviewing Malignant. This is a new horror film directed by James Wan. He's done stuff like The Conjuring and Insidious and Saw. Very fondly looked on horror films of that genre. So yeah, James Wan usually delivers. He usually is the very best of his genre and had success with Aquaman as well. So yeah, he's done a few films that I personally love. I loved Aquaman, and Insidious, the first one especially, is probably the best one out of them all. He did a fantastic job there, and obviously The Conjuring, it started its own little universe. So yeah, James Wan is a very good director. I think that's proven time and time again here. He's loved amongst fans of the horror genre. So to see him come back to his genre with a film like Malignant, which he hasn't played it safe. This is a very sort of different sort of take for James Wan. It's a bit more ambitious in my opinion, but there are definitely some things that I did not like about this film, and we're going to get into it. Right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to go into negatives first, because this film for me has a lot that holds it up, and overall I enjoyed this film. But there are more negatives than I thought there would be going into it, as this is a James Wan film. There aren't usually this many negatives for me. One, the opening scene to this film is genuinely awful in every way. Now, it is very sort of cliche. The idea is fine, and it's explained later, which makes it make more sense, which is fine. That is fine. But the acting in this opening scene, it isn't like this the entire film, but there are other instances as well. The acting in this opening scene is some of the worst I've seen in a big budget film. Now, there is a debate that James Wan wanted to sort of go back to the 80s, 90s sort of corny, cheesy sort of horror films, but then that argument is challenged by the rest of the film trying to be serious at times. It's a mix of tones, and for me, you can't have that tone and a serious one. You need to choose one. He doesn't choose one. Majority of this film is very serious. The tone is very serious. But when you get scenes like this, where the acting is genuinely awful and I can't take anything seriously, and then you've just got random close-ups on women screaming, like in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, it's just genuinely like, I cannot take it seriously. And then that leads me into the second negative. The music. The music just is weird for this sort of film. You'd expect some like tension building, sort of mysterious, because think about this film. The mystery is still at hold until quite far into the film when you realise what's going on. I would have thought that the music would have been eerie, sort of mysterious, very tension building type stuff, but it's more like actiony, action thriller sort of like suspenseful action music, and that's just so weird and random. It doesn't suit. There's this one scene where the main character's stepsister is driving to this sort of hospital that was at the start of the film where that scene took place, that I don't need to talk about anymore. It's just awful. But the music is so like, it belongs in an action film. And yeah, it just doesn't work for me. The music takes you out of the film in a few places. So yeah, realistically, I don't think I've ever had a problem with music more in a horror film. That seems so simple and easy to get right. I mean, just look at any horror film. I can't think of an instance where they've got it so wrong. So yeah, that's really weird, especially from James Wan as well. And the last negative I have is that once the twist happens, I really thought this twist was good. But once it happens, this sort of, the power level of the threat is in a way so ridiculous when you think about it. If you think about it too much, it doesn't make sense, because this character can like dodge bullets. Like, that makes no sense. In an action film, to an extent, especially superhero films, yes, it's out of a comic. They are superheroes. I expect stuff like that. That's what I'm there for. The Fast and Furious films became self-aware. Yes, there's an argument that the latest one became too self-aware and got like unenjoyably self-aware. But they know what they are, and stuff like that is like, that's fine. But this horror film, it half wants to play cheese, but then when it wants to play serious, I can't take that seriously. There's this threat that I'll go into in a sec when I talk about positives, because yes, it does come under positive, but it just, the power level is so insane. And for the explanation they give about how this threat like happens, it's just, it doesn't mean they're given supernatural abilities. That's not how it works. So it just, I don't know, it didn't really work for me. Yeah, that's the last negative I have with this film. Other than the fact that I think the first act is a little slow. Now, they do this little house setup, which I'm so glad. I thought that was going to be the whole film, where it was just going to be the same sort of house setting, which is like the go-to horror setting, because obviously that's a very cheap budget. So the profit that they make, horror films make the biggest profit out of any genre. It's nuts. The budget they have is so small, it's ridiculous. But yeah, I really thought they were going to do that in the first act. And although the first act is necessary to sort of set little seeds that come back later, that like stuff you need to know that's very relevant to the plot. But yeah, just it felt a bit slow. So yeah, that's just my opinion. But let's get into some positives, because I personally like this film quite a bit. One, this film is rated 18 if you're in the UK. I don't know, is it rated R in America? But in the UK, this is an 18. It utilises the rating very well. There's some gory moments in this that, yes, are bad, but like, it's less about what they did and it's the story as well. There's certain scenes with this the antagonist, which we find out is like a twin. I don't know the specific word for it. There is a word for it, but there's this like twin sort of tumor that's grown its own being inside of, well, on the opposite side of our main character, who I believe's actual name is Emily in the film. And they show her as a kid, and it's sort of growing in the back of her. Now, that's creative. That is a really creative thing, and I enjoyed that twist because it made sense. It really did. Now, the power level of the being, no, but it made sense, and it was very satisfying, because that's all you want a twist to be, satisfying when you find out what it is. Little things in the film that you've sort of watched and you've gone, how does that really make sense? What's really going on there? They explain it, and I do feel satisfied when I saw that twist. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. One thing I missed out on the negatives though, the action, it does turn into an action film at some point. So I feel like I did try and mention that. But yeah, it worked and didn't work. It was a bit too actiony, a bit too much choreography, where it just became like a set piece for me. And that took me out of like the horror mode of it, especially as the music didn't help as well. Like, there are full scenes where there's just this massive like action set piece with Emily flinging about backwards. Now, I thought the concept was good, but I didn't need action set pieces. I just needed little scenes where, I don't know, she's hiding down like behind something, and she does this cool move like she does in these scenes, but just once, and then that's it. I don't need her dodging bullets and all of this. But anyway, that's going back to negatives. So yeah, I thought the acting in this film was on and off, but overall, the main actor who plays Emily does a fantastic job. She's by far the best in this film. I thought her stepsister was good enough with what she was given. She was just sort of there to for that bit at the end where you find out that they're not actually related and stuff like that. So yes, they could have utilised her a bit more, but the way they did, I thought the actor sold it very well. So props to her, because she wasn't given a lot to do. And yeah, there's this cop in the film, I forget his name. He's very good. Now, there's a scene where he's chasing down Emily, that we find out to be Emily, but her twin. And although it is this action set piece that I'm on about that I wasn't really fond of, I did enjoy that. Like, this is the thing. The action stuff was entertaining, but it sort of took me out of being scared. They build up all of this tension, and then when you're just seeing the antagonist all the time in a horror film where it's supposed to be like eerie and they build it up because you don't know what's about to come at you, that's what sort of gets you scared in a horror film. So the fact that I'm just seeing a chase scene with, I don't know, it didn't really work, but everything with the cop works for me. He did very well. He wasn't stupid. He gave Emily a chance. Obviously, when the evidence is where it is, he can't deny that. So, yeah, I thought his character was great. However, his side character was not a fan. She was very stupid and just overly mean for no reason, just for the plot's sake. Yeah, it didn't really make sense. But, yeah, I think overall the best part of this film was that main character's performance. She was great. And the twist. Like, that is just what makes this film. The gore is utilised well. So, yeah, there's just a bit too many problems for me to have this on the same level as a Conjuring or an Insidious for me. In my opinion, I'm going to rate Malignant a 7 out of 10. That doesn't sound bad at all. And some of you might be like, you're playing it down like you're rating it a 5. Listen, a 5 is equally as good as it equally as bad. I might watch this again if it comes on, but I never would choose it. 6 out of 10 is it's good. I'll watch that again someday. By far not the best thing I've ever seen, but it was all right. It was watchable. A 7 out of 10. I enjoyed this film. I enjoyed it overall, but it has too many problems where I can't say it's great. It's not great. It's really good. The concept is good. The execution is good. The cinematography is good. But there's too many things that they just didn't get right. Behind the scenes sort of music choices and stuff like that, and stuff on the screen. So yeah, 7 out of 10, that's my rating of Malignant. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below if you've even seen this film. Is it worth giving it a watch? I'd say it is. So yeah, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.